The rain hammered against Alexander's apartment window as he stared at the divorce papers on his kitchen table. 15 years of moving from city to city, job to job, relationship to relationship, all because of the nightmares. All because of what happened that night in the Atacama Desert. He didn't like to think about it. The official story was classified. Area 51 material, they said, though it hadn't happened anywhere near Nevada. But Alexander remembered everything. The crash, the screaming metal, the violet flames that didn't burn like earth fire. He remembered the three beings inside, their crystalline bodies fractured and bleeding something that looked like liquid starlight. And he remembered dying. The knock at his door was soft, almost apologetic. Alexander wasn't expecting anyone. He never was anymore. Friends had stopped calling years ago, tired of his panic attacks and sudden disappearances. He approached the door cautiously, old instincts from his time as a paramedic kicking in. Through the peephole, he saw her. She stood in the rain without an umbrella, water cascading off her like she existed in a different relationship with physics. Her skin had an otherworldly luminescence, and her eyes, those impossible prismatic eyes, marked her as decidedly not human. She wore simple clothes, jeans and a jacket, but they couldn't hide what she was. Alexander's hand trembled on the doorknob. His heart monitor, the one his cardiologist insisted he wear, began beeping frantically. "Please," she said, her voice somehow audible through the door, melodic and layered like multiple frequencies speaking in harmony. "Alexander Chun, I have traveled very far to find you." He opened the door. What else could he do? For 15 years, he'd wondered if it had been real, if he'd actually seen what he thought he'd seen. Now here was his answer, standing in the hallway of his mediocre apartment building in Portland, Oregon. "You remember," she said, and it wasn't a question. "Every second," Alexander replied. "You were the small one, trapped under the navigation console." Her prismatic eyes shimmered. "I am Kirsten of the 5th Royal House of Thessera. And yes, I was 11 years old by your counting. You pulled me from the wreckage. You went back for my parents twice, even as the core was reaching critical fusion." Alexander's hand went to his chest, to the surgical scar hidden beneath his shirt. "The explosion. I remember light, then nothing. They told me my heart stopped for 60 minutes. Clinically dead. But the paramedics kept working on me, and somehow—" "Not somehow," Kirsten interrupted gently. "My mother. In her last moments, she transferred her essence, what you might call her life force, into your cardiovascular system. It is the only reason you survived. It is also why you have nightmares, why you can sometimes see things others cannot, why your body occasionally operates on principles that baffle your physicians." Alexander stumbled backward, gripping the doorframe. 15 years of questions suddenly had answers. The strange dreams filled with alien mathematics. The way he sometimes knew things he couldn't possibly know. The incident where he'd lifted a car off a trapped child with strength that should have been impossible. "Why are you here?" he asked. Kirsten stepped inside, and Alexander noticed for the first time the elegant case she carried. "Because a debt is owed. Because you gave everything to save 3 strangers who fell from the sky. Because my people do not forget." She opened the case. Inside lay something that looked like a crystalline flower, pulsing with soft blue light. "This is a resonance key," Kirsten explained. "It will stabilize the foreign essence within you. You will finally sleep without nightmares. Your health will normalize. You can have the life you sacrificed." Alexander stared at the artifact. A normal life. Peace. Everything he'd lost. "But?" he asked, because there was always a but. That Kirsten's expression became serious. "But accepting it means accepting the truth. You are no longer entirely human, Alexander Chun. My mother's essence has bonded with yours permanently. The resonance key will not remove it. It will integrate it fully. You will live longer than any human. You will be able to perceive realities beyond your native dimension. And—" she paused, seeming uncertain for the first time. "And," Alexander prompted, "and according to the laws of my people, you would be considered my ward. You saved my life and carry my mother's essence. I am bound by honor and blood to protect you, to teach you, to ensure you do not face this strangeness alone." She met his eyes. "I know this is overwhelming. I know you never asked for any of this. But I am here to offer you a choice. Continue struggling alone, or accept help. Accept that what happened 15 years ago changed you forever, and that change does not have to be a curse." Alexander looked at this alien princess standing in his shabby apartment, offering him answers and aid. He thought about the last 15 years of isolation and confusion. He thought about the three beings he'd pulled from that burning wreckage, acting on instinct and compassion without a second thought. He'd died for 60 minutes to save strangers. Maybe it was time to live for something more. "Tell me everything," Alexander said, stepping back to let her fully inside. "Start from the beginning. And Kirsten, thank you for coming." The princess smiled, and for the first time in 15 years, Alexander felt something he'd almost forgotten: hope. Outside, the rain continued to fall on Portland, washing the streets clean. But inside apartment 7C, something ancient and alien and fundamentally human was beginning. A friendship forged in sacrifice, sealed in stardust, and destined to change two worlds forever. The end.